right. Good afternoon, everyone. I see the chat room is starting to fill up. That's awesome. We've got a nice crowd scheduled for this presentation of how to take your current side hustle to the next level. It could be a side hustle, it could be a modest business, but the point is you want to go forward with it, deeper and larger, hopefully, into our apparel decorating industry. My name is Mark Schwarb. I'll be your presenter today. I'm coming to you with about 35 years of experience overall in the apparel decorating industry by virtue of my activity and ownership of family and team sporting goods business. I work now for the group Stahls companies for coming right around 10 years, and I'm going to try to impart any wisdom I've gathered along my journey. We have Shauna Soom in the background. She's running the ship here, so to speak. She's in the, I guess, production area here. And we're going to ask that you start to answer a question that we have in the chat. Not the Q&A area, but the chat. It's much more easy for us to follow through there and see how your answers are coming in. But the question, generally speaking, was trying to figure out where you all are operating from. Where is your heat press located now? Is this a home-based business? Is this a small warehouse, a building on your property? Is it brick and mortar retail, a boutique, or what have you? Where are you now? And then hopefully, as we go through this, we'll give you some ideas on where you might take your business. So we've got that underway, and the cities are coming in, and that's great, but just a little insight on where you're operating from. I see small office and things like that. That's perfect. Home base, great. And you're even putting the cities in. So we are gathering some idea of who we're sort of talking to right now. I would be very surprised if anybody put in a multi-store operation with a title like this one, this webinar has. All right, so we've got that underway. We want to start with a slide that I put together, and this slide is particularly positioned. I specifically put the slide at the beginning for success stories. These folks have gone through this journey a little bit and have begun advancing themselves into larger and larger operations. So here's the first slide, the Growing Your Side Hustle t-shirt business. As I mentioned, my name is Mark, and you can ask me questions, or if after this you need to reach out to me for any reason, I'm sure we could find a way for you to contact me. But here's our success stories slide. And I'm going to be able to click over and show you websites for these 5 examples. And I put this first so that I could refer back to them and what they have done over the years to get to where they are currently. And since these are all online, clearly there's a focus on how you can operate and build your business through websites and things like that. And of course, we'll talk about expanding your space if you choose to be a boutique or you want to take your business out on the road. So the first one I want to flip through here is called True Victory. And this is an operation that I really like. I like the messaging. I like the product assortment. I like where they've come from, which was really just a round neck shirt. Their primary product line started out essentially with the one you see right in the middle of the screen now. They have a good message in that this is a partnership between a current Air Force, I believe, one-star general, and a partner that got this thing up and running based on their own philosophies, their own things that they've learned through time in military surroundings and so forth. And they clearly are focusing on an exercise and a workout apparel line, and that's fine. That's their choice, and that ties in well with who their customers are. But now they've broadened. They've got women covered. They've got the accessory category covered with hats and decals and bags and everything else. So they've made a real nice progress into expanding outward, gathering sales, even to the point now where they are working with athletes with NIL, the collegiate name, image, and likeness opportunities that are out there. And they, as you saw, may have seen a little bit lower here, they're getting some nice publicity, probably tied to their active participation in the Air Force right now. So good one to show you first, but not the only one. We have a lot of nice examples, and I'm going to try to get you over to another one now. Okay, and let me go get to, sorry. Oh, I hope this worked for me. Lytic. Okay, here's a little different one. This might include a number of you that are on with us today. This customer is running more or less a boutique level website, but also a store. And the emphasis here is that this is really well rounded. They brought together jewelry offerings, casual wear, ladies' leather purses and bags and so forth, in with a product line of apparel that they are decorating very well and going through a lot of transfer products to decorate this apparel. They, that I know of, don't do any other form of decorating other than heat press decorating using transfer products. And as you'll see in just a second, they have an emphasis into some inspirational things. They work, let's see here, let me get to her basics and find, I'm going to try to find, they didn't hide them on me, certainly. Anyway, where are, well, I'm not sure if I'm missing them, but I'm going to tell you that a large part of what these folks do are inspirational slogans. They deal with some mental health issues and things to give awareness. They also help to sort of, spread a message and generally pick-me-ups, generally positive slogans and phrasing and so forth to give folks that might be a little down and out or what have you, something to feel good about wearing. The idea being like, don't take yourself so seriously, have a good time, wear these pieces of apparel that will help you and make you feel better when you are wearing them. So they took a subject matter that they knew a bit about, and they've done a nice job creating apparel and other items decorated to address that. I'm going to click over to one now. This is, I'm sharing this one to show you that no matter really what your thing is, you can capitalize on it. If you happen to be involved in racing Jeeps through mud, you could literally sell apparel just to people that love racing Jeeps through mud. This person has hunted a good bit in his or her lifetime. They have created a branded product line encompassing shirts and hoodies and hats all around this swamp cracker phraseology and this way of life and what they do, what they like, and they have found a nice little niche in a group of people that have no problem wearing apparel that says something about them when they're out and about. So Swamp Cracker Apparel started out with just hats, if I can remember right, and now have broadened out into where they've got categories and apparel, and I believe even some hardware like your drinkware and that sort of thing too. So good example of somebody that's gone out and decided, hey, let me do what I'm comfortable with, what I know a lot about, and make it something, a viable business. This one takes us down a path of not necessarily always human apparel. Dog lover. I helped actually mentor this customer. They won one of our Stahls scholarships, and we started out with how to decorate a dog shirt. Not too different than this pink one right here. She was dealing only in heat transfer vinyl, had a small cutter, and we got that resolved and got her able to press and print on small dog apparel. And I kept sort of challenging her to say, why just, the heat transfer vinyl? You could insert more color with some other type of transfers. You could get into different categories and start, generating more interest with color. So she did this, and this is a 2-color heat transfer vinyl, but she's also done some things with American flags. She's utilized full color CAD prints and things like that. I'm sure she's experimenting with Ultra Color Max and other full color items. But I also took that and said, why just do the shirts? I know that she's gone into some leashes. I think she's deciding to decorate some drinking bowls and things like that. And so this person definitely stepped out, got some publicity out there, got some write-ups about her product line. She does do a charitable give back, which can be a big thing. And a key to some successes is that you tag that in, that you're going to contribute back to animal rescue in this case for every purchase, and that can drive the popularity of a brand that you're trying to build is some charitable aspect if you can tie it in there. I'm not saying it's required. I think it just pulls at the heartstrings, and people want to say, hey, I bought a shirt and some money from this purchase, did some good. So don't miss out on that. To try to consider that anyway. And the last one I'll scroll through here. I wanted to put an emphasis on the specificity of something like just doing headwear. This company that I know of, I don't know that they have a second or a third website anywhere, but for right now, Branded Bills is all hats, all headwear. And so if you have an affinity for hats, even if you have an affinity for a specialty hat like a beanie, and you wanted to build and sell only beanies, if you're very good at it, you can do it. You could literally build a business or add it, to a group of websites that you're maybe doing. I'm guessing that those of you that have a heat press, you may be considering a hat press, or those of you that have used transfers, you might be considering a cutter, or vice versa, a cutter and you're considering transfers. You could literally add additional businesses and be very specific about the products that you're going to post and sell. You can do a broad range store, you could do a broad range website, or you could take it down to this very granular level of, I'm only going to do hats on this website. I'm going to keep my apparel over on another website, or I'm going to keep my apparel in the store, but I'm going to sell dog apparel online. The marketing in the world and the sales are wide open to you all. You've got great resources in this day and age. You've got great opportunity to reach the masses and be as specific as you care to be. So that is my intro to some folks that have grown from where probably many of you are now outward, using websites. In the case of a couple of others, the Chico's Mafia example, she has done a large number of festivals, dog shows. She was even down at Art Basel, which is a major art event in Miami Beach, and she was among a group of vendors outside. The people coming by were walking their dogs, so it was a good place to set up and so forth. So she goes out on site a lot. She is very active in her community, getting publicity, but I believe most of her sales are done through the website and those on-site pop-ups. The Branded Bills people that I know of are only selling online. I can't speak for the Swamp Cracker folks. The True Victory is entirely online. There might be some instances where they've done some things locally over on the west coast of Florida, but that I know of, their business has been built through their hard work online. I'll point out True Victory. I mentioned the partnership. Within that, they have essentially 4, maybe 5 employees. They may have grown to more now because the product line is growing, but they started with the 2 partners and 2 kids. Their sons and daughter were working in the business. They were operating the heat press, and they were doing what they could with what they had, and they're reaping the benefits of it now. Hard work and really sticking to it and staying modern and getting in front of people is starting to pay off for them. So small businesses growing into middle-sized businesses. Some are headed in the large to maybe even extra large level businesses, and they're doing a great job of it. So wanted to get that out there first, and just I'll be referring back probably to those folks consistently through the webinar. So next, Shauna, if you would please, I'm going to speak about the subject matter for the rest of my presentation. The next slide will have categories, I guess. Just first would be identifying your audience there. We'll speak to that here in just a second. Then I'll go through some product selection ideas, maybe not necessarily specifically, the products. I'm not going to say order a particular beanie cap. We're going to talk about maybe more product selection, you having more product selection. We'll touch a little bit on branding and what I think of it, marketing strategies as they exist today. You might be able to tell as I said, I'm 35 years in the business, which means I did things in the 80s and 90s. You have wonderful, wonderful opportunities today that I never had, and that I'm rather envious of. And so we'll touch on, where I see things now from success stories that I've viewed of our own customers. Efficiency tips, that could be as much as how to set up your shop, but I think more than anything is that since you're thinking of growing your business outward, you're on a webinar right now about expanding your side hustle, moving your side hustle to the next level. Efficiency tips can include even just getting the most out of the least. And then location, cliche and all that, but it isn't necessarily always the best brick and mortar location in town. It can be things like websites and pop-ups and how you're going to expand outward from where you are now. So I'll follow this this roadmap, this agenda, and I have some bullet points under each one of those to talk about now. I've got about 3 minutes or so set aside for each one of these. And I'm going to just explore this idea of identifying your audience. And my first sort of question, rhetorical question, is who got you to this point, and how do you expand upon them? How do you get them either buying more, buying different items from you, and really taking a real good hard look at who your customer is now? If your customer is buying a lot of t-shirts from you, what's it going to take to sell them some hoodies when it gets cooler? What are you going to do to address maybe selling them some bags? Are you getting any sales from them in headwear? Where can we tap into them deeper, get them to purchase more, get them to speak about your business more, social media and that sort of thing? First step, see if there's more that you can get from your current audience, your current level of customers, learn from who they are, and then take the next step to find the next group. If you happen to be Chico's Mafia and you're selling into the dog outfits, well, logically, you should probably be selling apparel for the dog owners to wear as well when they're out with their dog. You should probably be considering travel bags that your dog owners can put all of their stuff in when they're traveling in the car and so forth. So let's have you, when you get off of this webinar and you want to really take a peek at your business, have you really consider who you're working with, what you can get and more out of them as customers. So that's a simple one. You have built-in customers now. Just learn how to work with them more. Can you capitalize in more branches of this current customer group? So if you have a specialty in workout apparel, again, can you now, and you started the business addressing men, there should be a gigantic opportunity for you to bring in and offer workout apparel for women. There should be also accessories. So can you capitalize on the extra arms, the extra branches of your current customer base? Where can you lead them? What are they asking you for? Are they happy with what you're applying? Graphically, should you be doing more color? Would they buy a second, third, fourth item if your art was just sizzling a little bit more on that garment? How can you go get more? Send your roots and send your branches out further within your already captured community. And that sort of covers the last one there, is to add closely related items. Sort of already mentioned it in the Chico's Mafia example. You've got the dog apparel. Why not do some leashes? Why not do some booties? It's hot out. Dogs are starting to wear booties because the asphalt's scorching hot. It's going to turn colder. Do you have dog winter wear? Do you cover cats? Pet owners typically have a couple. Maybe they've got birds and so forth. So go ahead and think about expanding into more items within your specialty. All right. Cover for a moment here product selection. And what I mean by that is, what do you currently own in your business? What do you currently have heat press wise, cutter wise, printer wise, even vendor wise? Do you have vendors that are getting you everything you need in the patch category, which is scorching hot, in the full color category? What do you currently own, and how will that allow you to expand without a big investment in an embroidery system or an 8-color automated screen print carousel? So what can you do now? What can you leap into or step into easily? And I would say that some of the first things out of my mind are bags, travel gear, certainly the headwear category, and into something that you may or may not be missing, but drinkware. Huge category. Putting stickers and decals and things on drinkware is becoming a massive part of the promotional products industry. So there's drinkware that could be added, and almost everybody that's selling a t-shirt could be selling drinkware. If you're True Victory, you should have water bottles. If you are Ludic, you should have water bottles or Yetis or Corksicles. If you are Chico's Mafia, you should probably have some sort of travel bag that holds water that you can give to your dog, and all of those can be decorated. So what current equipment, what can you expand on with your current equipment to keep your investment at a bare minimum until you just are diving into money? Let's look at doing this with what you already have. Take a minor step, a $500 investment, $1,000, $2,000 investment. And if that will add a nice, big, broad product category, then awesome. That's what we want to look at there. Keeping it to a minimum, but expanding out what you can offer. Right. The next one to discuss is branding. This is a question you have to sit down and have a conversation with yourself on. I know my answer, and that would be, if I have this equipment already, and if I'm able to put a corporate logo on for a customer, why then would I not be able to put a logo on something that I'm developing for myself, right? So in my time, we screen printed a lot of things. I always wondered, why not try some sort of sports brand and do it myself and start to ramp it up? In those times, it was a real gamble. It was expensive to try to make something grow large. We didn't have websites. We didn't have social media, frankly, but you do. And so you have an opportunity to say, hey, I've got this equipment. I can start putting a brand on something. I can start developing slogans. I'm going to presume if you're a creative person, you can spit out fun, catchy, comical, whatever slogans, maybe left and right. Maybe just listening to other people in social settings, a party or something like that. You come away with some ideas that would sound great on a shirt. I mean, how many times have we all heard that? We're in the business and people say that would sound awesome on a shirt. You should make a shirt. You should do this. You should do that. There's a possibility for a brand right there. And so there are examples of decorators that have been making shirts and things like that for companies forever that have said, okay, over here, in this corner of the building, let's start branding our own and give it a try. We can do it on a website. We can spread the word on social media. We've already owned the equipment. We already know the expertise. We already have the employees. This should come fairly easily. So keep that in mind, and really look at whether or not you're better off running a boutique with, the hours that go into that and the weekends, or whether or not you're better off trying your hand at a brand that's in your region. If you're in the mountains, come up with a mountain brand. If you're by the beaches, come up with a beachside brand, something you can focus on, something that you know a lot about. Okay. Marketing strategies. I've kind of touched on this a little bit already. While your marketing, can start out as local, you might be advertising in your local bus benches or chamber of commerce or whatever else. You have a wonderful opportunity to reach a national level with what can be done through all the social media. Clearly, letting people know, reaching out to everyone via Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and so forth. It's so easy today to start to reach out and have them reach out and have them reach out. I don't need to paint that picture for you. You just need to do it. If you're not, if this is the meeting, if this is the webinar that's going to inspire you to say, I'm going to go further out with this business. I'm going to make this into a business. I'm going to do these. I want to do more of what I'm doing. Then by all means, you've got to prepare for how to reach more people. And you have to think beyond your local community. This is a wonderful point in time to be able to market and spread your word quickly and very inexpensively. So do think in terms of utilizing the social media and really pushing your messaging out there. Let your friends and family, your former co-workers, hopefully you're running this business now by yourself, but you have a long list of former co-workers. Maybe you're on a chat page or something with former classmates. You want to let people know what you're doing so that they will buy from you, but also so that they will let others know what you're doing. And before you know it, you've got tens of thousands of people aware where you are, who you are, and what you can do. So wonderful time. Web stores, can't say enough about them. We know the data. There's probably been webinars presented by Stahls and Transfer Express about the success of web stores. They stand for themselves. I opened up 5 of them, and it's right there. I mean, again, just a wonderful opportunity for those to be working for you in the sales department 24 hours a day. Yes, there's upkeep. Yes, there's maintenance, all of that. But I can tell you from personal experience, it is nothing like having a multi-store small chain. It was something every day I had to go address or fix or fire or whatever it was. They were not profitable events. They were time-consuming, nightmarish events. You folks that I'm speaking to you now, you just have every opportunity to do this in a very clean, very orderly fashion via web sales, via stores, and you can operate numerous ones. That's another beautiful thing. If you're successful selling to the dog market and you want to add the bridal market, you want to add the baby market, you want to add the fitness market, you could literally have those all in one store, like a big online department store, or you could have numerous individual stores and even individual brands. And if one of them goes off, you give it your attention. If 2 of them are going crazy, give them your attention, shut the other ones down if you need to. How simple is that? You're not tied into any kind of a lease. You don't have to let people go. Great opportunities for you all. I just can't say enough. This is a point in time where I'm envious of how business is being conducted and how, the reach, the ability to reach out and cross across the country, heck, even internationally, if it heads that direction for you. So these are good times for that. All right. Efficiency tips. This title I put together because I'm a former landlord. So not only was I operating a business. I segued later on into being a landlord. And so if we have a group of people here that are considering getting out of a small location into a bigger location, or from a medium-sized location into a larger location, whatever it is, efficiency here, what I'm meaning is when you are looking at that next space, and if it's going to be a rental situation, assuming you don't have just a larger building or a bigger, garage somewhere on your property or whatever it is you're going to go do, this is where you really start to, have to think about getting the most out of the least. When you step out, if you are headstrong and ready to go into a retail environment on your main street and set up that dream boutique that you've always wanted, and you're excited and anxious to have the community coming past your doorway and coming into your store, and the bells ringing on the door and people are saying hello and everything like that, that is your ultimate goal when you go to shop for that location. I really would like to suggest take a peek at the space and really look at what the space is going to cost you. If you go into a, say, 1,000 square foot unit and you look around, you say, this is perfect, but it's got very low ceilings, it's very possible that you can go find an 800 square foot space or a 600 square foot space that has high ceilings. You're going to pay your rent based on the square footage on the ground, right? And so you can have a very viable working space with nice displays and everything else if you can put storage upwards. So keep that in mind. Be efficient with the square footage. You're going to pay for every square foot, if frankly every square inch of your floor space. So just be cognizant of what is going on in your rental environment. Be cognizant in some states of all the expenses that go into having your brick and mortar, your boutique, or even your flex space rental. Have conversations with the landlord about things like garbage pickup and how everything gets shared, what goes on with the water. Is it one meter? Does everybody pay separately, or how is all that done? Is it one dumpster, or do you have to get your own dumpster? These things are not inexpensive. Like, I'm not making like a deal out of something that is small. It's hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month, perhaps, just for a dumpster pickup. So have those conversations before you get into a sticky mess. And there's a slide coming up where I suggest you get really some good professional advice so you don't make costly mistakes. Because once you step up and out of something you're comfortable in, now is when the chances for mistakes go incrementally up as well. So location. My wife's a real estate agent, but I don't mean that. Location in this case is, can you grow in your current arrangement? Do you have space available to you that you're not really utilizing? Like I said, can you put shelving upwards to get boxes and storage and your spools of ink and things up off your floor so that you can immediately create more space in your current location? Can you do more business, more sales from where you are? Do you really need to go out and expand your size? All right. That leads me to websites. To me, websites are locations. If your dream is to have a 10 location decorating business and you want them all over the place, that's fine. No one can stop you. I personally would do 10 different websites in this day and age. To me, they are stopping points, they are shopping points, and they do not have the physical labor that goes into housing multiple locations. So websites can be locations. Do you want to do on-sites? Do you want to go to festivals and pop-ups? That's a very viable part of this whole apparel decorating journey. They do very well, the folks that go out to them. You'll just have to have a conversation again with yourself as to whether you're cut out for all of the weekends, right? So a lot of these people that go out and do rodeos, or they set up at swimming pools, soccer fields, they go out and they do art festivals and what have you. They sacrifice their Friday, their Saturdays, and their Sundays to get their Mondays and Tuesdays and maybe Wednesdays off, and then Thursday becomes planning and packing and what have you for the next festival. And so that's a schedule, that's a routine that isn't for everybody, but you can have very successful sales in a very short period of time, doing the on-sites, the festivals, the pop-ups, the activations, and things like that. So do consider really what it means to you to take your side hustle currently to another level. What's that level going to be? What's that location going to be? Is it going to be the next one, brick and mortar? That's up to you. Make a go of it. There are some very successful ones out there. Okay. If you have family and friends that want to work in it, even better. You can staff that. You can maybe cut down on some of the issues that go along with staffing and payroll and everything else. But yeah, if your goal, if your personal dream was always to have the boutique on Main Street or the flex space with a fantastic showroom and then production going on in the back, no one's going to stop you. You can do that. You can do that in this industry. You can do it relatively inexpensively in this industry, and you can be successful in this industry with that. So the last thing on the list here as part of location is, do you want to be open to the public? Do you want to be the business where you have to maintain regular hours? Do you want to be doors open, people coming in, meet and greet? You don't control, the amount of time that you're going to give that person. It might be a 5-minute conversation, and boom, you get the list of the sizes, and the logo is in your hand, and they're shaking hands after giving you the credit card, and they're on their way. The flip side of that is it could be the customer that's very needy and needs an hour of your time, an hour and a half of your time, and they're still not done. They have to come back the next day with their art, and that's another half hour or whatever. You need to really think about what it's like to be open to the public. Are you going to be front facing? Are you going to be good with the merchandising? Are you going to keep a clean shop? Are you going to display your equipment out front where they can see it and mingle with you and talk to you while you're working even? These are all things to consider if you're going to, sort of go public. So do keep that in mind. Observe yourself as you're going into a store and just, say, what if I was the guy behind that counter? Is that something I want to do? Okay. This is a point in the presentation where I clearly left time for questions. And that was a lot that I covered. It's all downhill from here. So that was the meat of the matter. And I want to see, Shauna, can we just sort of pass along any questions that have come up? Anything I went through too fast? Or
Sure. So we do have a question from Jake. His question is, should you create a small focused website for a niche, such as www.veteranstuff.com, or have their website like, Jake's website.com with a veteran section?
So at first glance, I'm thinking I'm putting myself in the position of the person that has done a Google search or picked up on the website address via social media. I think I would work more from, certainly what I'm trying to convey would be in the name of the domain if I can. So veteranstuff.com is perfect. I think that is attractive. I think it's clear to the person that's reading it. I think it's probably even something a search engine could pick up on and maybe get you some decent positioning. So yeah, I think like Swamp Cracker Outfitters that I referred to earlier. Like, I don't know that people are going to necessarily Google that, but I think it says a lot about what that website's going to be when you get there. I think that Chico's Mafia leaves things sort of open-ended. Like, how do you know, at what point do you know that website's going to have anything to do with dogs or pets? Branded bills, we stopped on that one. I think everybody knows that the brim of a hat is called the bill. So branded bills, in a search bar or something like that. Probably not too hard to find, but even more is it's memorable. So if I'm at a party and I am maybe wearing a hat and somebody says, "Where'd you get the hat?" And I say, brandedbills.com. That's a pretty easy one to remember and go home and then, see if I want to buy a hat there or they want to buy a hat there after my recommendation. So veteranstuff.com, something along those lines. The true victory that I referenced before, that is a slogan or something within the military community. If I'm not mistaken, they played off of that because that's a fairly common phrase passed along. It has meaning. It is inspirational. It's got a lot of things going for it. So, not to dwell too much on the veteranstuff.com idea. I just think that, yeah, letting the person that's doing the search know a little bit about it, having it be as memorable as possible. It's probably a little like when you put messages in your email subject bar, keeping it as brief and memorable as possible, probably a good thing. So veteran stuff gets right to it.
That's all the questions we have right now.
Okay. All right. I have another slide or two, and I kind of take a little different direction here. It's a reversed stoplight in that it sort of points out I'm not going to say pitfalls, but just if I can, have a vision and make a plan. If your vision is to get out of the garage setting, if your vision is to move out of the 400 square foot, side building that you have on your property that you're operating in, if your vision is to go out, that's a vision. You have a vision of what this next business, what your business is going to look like, right? And now you got to get to the plan. Like everybody will tell you, having a sensible, well thought out business plan. There's lots of books on it. There are, templated documents that help you fill out a business plan. I'm not going to go into that. That's on you to do. You're the one that has this, but you need to put it together as a plan so you can step over the pitfalls of, making bad decisions. And so when I colorize the top square there as green, you have this vision. Now we need to get busy planning for how to not make some mistakes. And one of the things I thought of was, let's imagine your business was a dried piece of sponge, and you're just about to drop a drop of water on there and watch it grow outward. Like your business is about to grow outward, so is everything in it. Right. So if this is a 1-person operation that you're running now, or if it's a 4-person operation and you're about to pull the trigger and get moving towards something bigger, don't be afraid of it, but just know that whatever your current problems are, if it's space, or if it's a lack of enough equipment, if it's not enough customers, whatever it is, all that's about to do is to get larger. For you, you're going to have to address a lot of things as you build this business. You're going to have to consider more help. You're going to have to consider, the orders are going to get larger. You may come across an order where you're wondering how you're going to finance that order. Are you going to be able to make the purchase to get all the garments? You're going to have to drag out 3 credit cards to cover $10,000 purchase of hoodies because you came across a customer. Lots of things in the financial world, lots of things in the personnel world, lots of things in your own personal world, your time off or lack of, are about to go from the small version of this sponge. When you drop that drop of water and pull the trigger and go for this expansion of your side hustle, is about to get bigger. This also got me thinking about the TV show Shark Tank. I watch it a fair amount, and it got me wondering about how many times people come on that show, if you're aware of it, but I can't people come on the show looking for investments to expand their business. And it's very often that somebody comes on there with a food truck and they paint the picture. They're making great food. They're selling out every night. They're just booming. This food truck is as busy as it ever could be. And they have this dream of opening a real restaurant. It's in their blood. It's in their family. Everybody is pushing them towards restaurant. And invariably, those sharks, the investors, the people that they're there to try to get money from to invest and do this restaurant, they say, why? Why not just another truck? You're doing so well with what you know. I think in this example, I'm wondering if you're operating an apparel decorating business on a medium or small scale, why not a website? Like, why not 2 websites? Why not try your hand at a brand? Come up with a catchy name, some catchy slogans, and you're on your way to building something as far as a brand. Why not, if you're doing shirts and hoodies, why not headwear? Yeah, I guess. So if I'm speaking to you like one of the sharks on the TV show, I'm going to say, like, be careful when you step out into that more retail, mainstream retail method. So imagine what you do now, only larger, but that includes the pitfalls. Okay. Not only your sales and your profit get larger, so do some of the hard items. The green light or the yellow light, get professional advice. I learned this many times the hard way. Thought I could figure everything out, thought I could, wrangle the legalities of things and failed. It just always came back to bite me, and it always ended up costing more to fix a problem that I did not go get professional advice in the first place. Right. So it seems expensive to go to your accountant. It seems expensive to bring in an attorney for reading through a lease or advice on how to structure your business. Is it going to be a C Corp, an S Corp, an LLC? I'm not here to give you that advice. I had 2 types. One with great advice from my accountant, very timely move from one type of corporation to another, paid magnificent dividends to me and my family when we did that. But you will, if nothing else, if you pay them $300, $500, $1,000 to get a project done, it will almost always save you money. And even if it doesn't save you a ton of money, you say, gosh, I paid $500 for that advice and I could have done it for, $300. But you always will learn something from those professionals. In that face-to-face meeting, when you're sitting down and they're explaining why you should switch to an S Corp or why you should incorporate into an LLC, there's this long conversation or explanation of why you should do that. And that stuff is invaluable. You'll carry it with you when you close this business or when you expand this business next time down the road. You will always have that in your mind. You will have the documents and things like that you leave that meeting with. I promise you. Get the proper advice when the subject matter is potentially going to cost you a lot of money or is just plain and clearly over your head. Okay. The red button, identify your anchors. Like, know now where you are stuck in the mud. Know now that no matter how hard you pull upwards on your anchor, it's staying down, in the water. Cut that rope free and get away from those bad things. You are not required to stay in situations that are your anchors. You can cut free from bad deals. You are allowed to push yourself away and say, this is not for me. This sale is not for me. This customer is not for me. This location is not for me. You do not have to stay anchored to bad ideas, bad products. And if you've made bad decisions, own up to them, but break free. Get free of them. You'll feel better. You'll go forward making better, wiser decisions. Your business will be better for leaving those anchors, in the rearview mirror, so to speak. So that's some advice from my own experiences. And if that one particular slide right there works for you, it would give me a great amount of satisfaction to have helped you avoid some of the pitfalls. You know, I can't be specific with them because I don't know your specific business, but just be on high alert. This isn't all about just, I'm going to do a whole bunch more shirts for people and enjoy the profit at the end of that. You be smart, you know, have a plan, and don't be afraid to walk away from what's holding you back, the bad anchors. Okay. I have space for more questions. I'm almost exactly right on time where I wanted to be. I'm going to give you this piece of advice on this slide here. We can kind of open it up. If other questions want to start flowing in now, that would be fine and great. We have just about 10 minutes left, and I'll cover what's on this slide. Clearly, the top sentence there, I mean it, and this is important. I dealt with hundreds of vendors in my time, in my life. Sold full line sporting goods, full line apparel, full line equipment, everything you could ever need from a baseball to bleachers. I had dozens and dozens of key vendors every year that I worked with, and over my time, the ones that came and went, the ones that I cut loose, and the ones that I had great relationships with, probably numbered in the hundreds. So choose suppliers that care and want you to succeed. And by that, in this day and age, what I mean is not just their product, right? Their product is their product. You can probably find something similar in other, you know, channels or under other vendors or what have you. But will that company really have their eye out for you? And I listed some things here, again, in a selfish way. These are listed to give you examples, right? This is not just an ad for our Stahls stuff. If your other vendors in this industry don't have some versions of what I've listed here, look around, right? I can point you to Sanmar. Sanmar is a great apparel vendor. They offer up a lot of education. They are out at every trade show I've ever been to. And we do a bunch, and I've done a bunch. They're active in their education. They have live human beings talking and showing product. Your vendors probably should have that, right? I don't think your vendors, especially your key ones, your top 10, your top 20, I don't think they should leave you feeling cold. I don't think you should feel isolated. I don't think you should have to figure out everything on your own. I listed Stahls TV, our YouTube channel. I think we're up over 400 or 500 videos on that, maybe even more than that now. We have our Heat Press for Profit Facebook page, and while we monitor it, it's customer driven. It is an open discussion by some people that are in the same business as you that are doing a really nice job. The times that I'm on it, and I read the chats, and I'm just looking for bad advice so I can point it out and say, that might not be, you know, the greatest. They are super, super generous. Well, if your other vendors, your favorite vendor for equipment bags, doesn't at least have some version of that, maybe where there's a forum or where people are discussing how to decorate, you know, bags, let's say, see if there's another vendor out there, right? The bags can't be all that different, but the service and the support and the care for your account might be dramatically different from vendor to vendor, right? We have human beings in both, well, all of our facilities for that matter. Stahls, Transfer Express, Autronics, they're everywhere. And we have people like myself. Again, if your other vendors don't, question it, ask for it. We have these webinars. These are, you know, they're not all that difficult to do. They're time consuming, but we're putting ourselves in front of you. We're saying to you, we're here because we care that you succeed, because at the end of the day, it helps you, it helps us. Okay. We're at trade shows. If your top 20 vendors aren't fairly regularly out in front of you, question that. And then we have something like our Stahls spirit sale stores. We literally have an online you have the ability to build online stores via our platform that is so reasonably priced. It's almost ridiculously inexpensive in my opinion. So we're providing you with a lot of things that should resonate, that we are a vendor that cares about your success. And I would encourage you to hold your other vendors all throughout your product lines, all categories, to the same standards as we're sort of putting forward here. Okay. Perfect timing. 5 minutes would be ideal if there's questions coming through. Shauna, I would.
We do have some questions, Mark. Let me stop the slide presentation and
Great.
put you on focus.
All right.
So Laura asked a question about specifics on getting Google search ads. I've reached out to our social media team to get an answer for her. So I'll drop that in the chat, Laura, when we get the answer. Mikey says he is ready to go to a large format printer cutter for simultaneous multicolor HTV heat pressing. Do you recommend any specific equipment?
So any of the top brand names, I might say that I'm fairly partial to Roland, only because my very first cutter was purchased in 1987. And it was a Roland, and it never let me down. It literally never let me down. So my partiality to the Roland brand extends now through printer cutters. I work for a company now that is a distributor for Roland, full disclosure. I've seen them. I've helped install them. We operate them. The wide format EcoSolvent printer investment is one that I would do if I were to go back onto your side of the aisle, so to speak, for a number of reasons, not only the apparel reasons, but the stickers and decals and things like that. I would be careful of the size, know for sure prior to your purchase really what you're going to push that printer to do. Don't come up too narrow, don't come up too big. Really have, again, I mentioned this numerous times in this webinar, have an honest conversation with yourself. Are you going to do banners? Are you going to do car wrappers? Do you have the art skills to push that very high-end piece of equipment to its max? Be careful in this particular period of time of how much apparel you think you're going to do with it. I would suggest to you that buying transfers rather than equipment for apparel right now is the way to go. That piece of equipment will do transfers, and they're great. I probably have one right here. Yes. And I've got hats over my shoulder where I've decorated them with the heat transfer vinyl printed in full color, and you can put them on bags and all manner of materials. But yeah, if I see now, Mikey, you're considering signage. So I think what you will find is this printer will work and earn you your investment in the signage side of things. And you can gather up the extra sales by selling, say, the plumbing business that you did some signage for, selling them some polos and shirts. But I got a feeling in this day and age, with where direct to film printing is going, you're going to gravitate towards it for your apparel and the soft goods. But yeah, the SG300, they've made some nice improvements and some nice additions to it with the built-in take-up reel now. Great machine.
All right. Carrie asks how do you suggest scaling, for example, ads?
If I understood scaling, I'd give you a good answer. It gets tossed around a lot. I hear the word, I'm going to scale. I need to scale. I need this. I need that. So it means something different, I think, to everybody else. But I think at the bottom of it, it means, how do I get bigger, or how do I do more of it? Like scaling in this day and age, as far as advertising, is almost, to me, what I mentioned before, is like when you start out with a group of your very closest people, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your high school and college classmates. You have this group built in already, right? And if you properly post what you're doing or getting ready to do with pictures, with explanations, then that scale can go from that group just outward, as each one of those people say, hey, I know somebody, this is what she does. She's a great person. I did this, or she did this for me. And here, you should reach out. So I think there needs to be a landing page somewhere, whether it's a Facebook spot, an Instagram spot, a website, that your close-knit group, your original group, can help you scale that thing out and have them get back to you. You can't rely on your, former college roommate to necessarily do the work to get her aunt who lives across the country to visit your website unless you give them a link or something else. So get active in the people that you know. Let them be what's going to scale you outward as far as your advertising. Just what used to be just good old-fashioned word of mouth, right? It can explode outward very quickly. Get some publicity for yourself too. I mean, don't be bashful about reaching out to local media. I mean, I think people that are writers are always looking for something to write about. Create a good story, a good backstory. I mean, the idea of the dog folks, giving money back to charity. They immediately got the local Atlanta Constitution or whomever to come out and do a story about them, right? And then while newspapers are dead, those media folks are now publishing everything, outward in, websites, social media, blogs, all of that. So scaling your message in a marketing aspect to me just means growing the number of eyes that are seeing you and could possibly land on your website and then decide to buy something.
Okay, Mark, it's 3:00. We do have a couple additional questions. So if you're willing, I'll just keep rolling with a few more questions.
Absolutely.
Okay. Ashley asks, what is DTF and how much does it cost?
DTF machine ownership, I'm going to speculate at around 35,000. I don't know. We don't sell them. I am engaged in the industry enough to at least peak. But I don't think that point paints anywhere near the full story. We know from some experiences that there's a whole lot more to it than receiving 3 gigantic boxes and setting up and going. These things are finicky. They require just a lot of additional tender loving care. They don't print well in particular humidity situations. Sometimes it could be high humidity causing a problem. Sometimes it could be low humidity causing a problem. So most people that have bought these on a do-it-yourselfer basis are encountering any number of problems. And when they shut down for long periods of time. You don't just go and find a part and pop it in. They are at the beginning stages of the overall do-it-yourself, do it at home, do it at your warehouse journey of direct to film. That is the essence of DTF, printing directly to a film transfer sheet. We do it on a very large scale. We do it with all the expertise. We've made the investments in the settings where these machines are. We've made investments in the personnel that operate them. They are experts. And what I just covered as far as the machines being finicky doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of how much expertise goes into things like color management, getting a design from your customer and having your on-site DTF printer print it accurately. That's a whole nother, group of investment. So buyer beware right now, as hopefully seen as an honest sales rep for a company that produces DTF level transfers. My phrase is buy transfers, not equipment, as it stands right now. Hit me in 5 years, and I might be saying they run great. They've gotten all the kinks out. I don't know where it's all headed, but we are at the point with DTF machines, I feel, where we were at the beginning stages of DTG, when there were nightmares and lawsuits, until they started getting some of the kinks worked out. Until they got the ink viscosities right, until they got, what they could print on and what they could not print on corrected, and all the pre-treating and everything else that went on with DTG at the beginning stages is where we are with DTF. Buyer beware.
All right. Steve is asking if you know a good manufacturer of USA made apparel.
I don't. I'm sorry to say that. I am a former apparel manufacturer sales rep. I was a little more in tune at that point when I was representing Holloway Sportswear and Reebok team uniforms and some others. It's almost a Google search that you can do. I think there might be some effort by people like Sanmar and SNS Activewear and Alpha Broder to try and have some product lines that have, made in America capabilities. It just is, it's tough. It's tough to find. And I'll tell you what, who did we get that person's name, Shauna?
Yeah, I have it. And I just did a Sanmar Google search and it pulled up 18 different products. So if you do USA made in Sanmar, I'm sure it would be the same in SNS.
I think there are some small mills still around doing the full, tubular knitting, cut and sew, assembly. And I do believe in my heart that people like a Sanmar and like an SS Activewear, like an Alpha Broder and others would want to have sort of a US made department within their offerings.
Okay, Anne says she's preparing to participate in her first big vendor show with a local school system to promote spirit wear. Do you have any suggestions for a successful show?
Have transfers on site with you. Discuss maybe prior to going with the administration what, if anything, are the catchphrases around that campus. If they're the Hawks, they may have a slogan. I know my daughter's school, it's a great day to be a Hawk was their phrase. And if you had that on a shirt, that was almost a guaranteed sale. So do some research before going out there as to what that particular school is into. Maybe they have some particular specialties. Maybe they have fantastic IB programs. Maybe they have terrific or large sports programs. Maybe they're deep into the technology and robotics, and maybe you can play off of some of that. Again, with our product line, you can go there with a number of different categories already covered, have those transfers already made, and be prepared to put them on when a person selects it, rather than go out and have 144 or more pre-printed hoping that you got it just right. What doesn't sell, you bring home. They're still blank. Go to the next one. Use those same shirts, or find another use for them. But I would have some conversation at least with maybe some students. They may have some ideas, and then certainly teachers and administration saying, I've decided to come out. I'll be on site, able to make t-shirts, tank tops, long sleeves, and hoodies. But I want to make sure I have the right slogans. I want to make sure I have the right colors. They may say our colors are blue and red. Well, which blue? Make sure you've got that covered. Make sure the mascot is their mascot. And again, if there's any slogans around that campus that they use over and over again, or if there's anything inspirational that you can come up with, if it's the beginning of the school year and you can get creative on your own about something to do with the new school year and all that goes on. Yeah, I mean, just being there is going to be a big first step. I don't know if you'll be the only person there, but it'll be a good first step. You might want to drop your company information in a small branding fashion, so that any of those that get sold and get taken home become a little bit of an advertising vehicle for you.
Okay, Mark, I think this will be the last question. It's from Laura. Okay. She says she's a home-based promotional and corporate apparel business. She literally only outsources screen printing and embroidery. Okay. She wants to invest in a heat press and stop outsourcing so much work. She's ready to make the investment, but she can't figure out how the transfers will break out to be more cost efficient than what she's already doing.
Okay, one more time. Was the question about getting a heat press and
Yeah.
then the transfers, or
The question is about how do heat transfers, how is that going to make her more profitable than the outsourcing of screen printing and embroidery that she's currently doing?
well, I don't know the policies of your current, screen printer. I know that they don't like short run. I know that, of course, they're going to charge you for every color in your design, cleanups, things like that. If they're running a proper business, they're probably going to have some charges that are going to hit your invoice for cleanup, things like that. So in the grand scheme, you've got to look at your overall invoice from an outsourcer and compare it to what it would be if you ordered them, from a company like Transfer Express. If you take the overall, you also have to keep in mind that you're going to put that transfer on at your leisure, meaning at sale, point of the sale, you're going to screen print all of those other shirts and hope to sell them. So if it's a job that you know the exact amount for, you can run the numbers through both. You can call your contract decorator and say, I've got 125, they're 4-color, and the design is a left chest or full back or whatever it is, and run the numbers against what a transfer would be. I don't know of too many customers that don't come back for more shirts at the end of the initial run. It's a big benefit to transfers, is that having additional 3, 6, 12, 24, whatever you think this customer is likely to come back for on a, as need basis. That's a wonderful portion of having transfers on hand. It's, you've got to play the numbers. We have online designers, and you can get to the point just before you press order that you will know what you're going to pay, divided by the number of shirts. Take a peek at it. Don't forget your ability to gang sheet. If you have a back print and you can put your chest print on there together, that's one way to optimize the usage of a transfer sheet. And then compare that to where he's going to charge you, 125 hits on the front, 125 hits for the back, the screens for the back, the screens for the front, the cleanups, or whatever else they might put in their overall invoice. And then, the fact that you're losing control and you're paying him enough for him to make money on the job factors into a lot of the reasoning why people, run transfers. For me personally, when I got away from using contractors was their, lack of reliability. Frankly, I would take shirts into a local screen print contractor, put them on the floor, put my work order, because he was usually hidden in the back and, just kind of acting like he was super busy or whatever. And he would yell out, how many, 100 shirts, how many colors, 3 color, I'll have them in a week. That's awesome. That's exactly when I need them. I'll be back in a week. Come back in, and the box that I dropped off on the counter with my work order never moved. It just had a little bit of extra dust on it because maybe the surf was up and the guy went out surfing instead of working. So it became pretty clear at that time to my father, who was involved in the business, that we were going to become screen printers. And one trade show, and about 2 weeks after that, a freight truck delivered everything we needed to begin the journey into screen printing. It just is the same thing. Like, we needed to control our production schedule. We needed to control our destiny. We needed to keep our, profit margin in our business. And that's what's attractive to utilizing transfers, because the option is adding a screen printing operation or continuing to use the outsourcer. So that's, everybody comes to that critical point. Is a 1-head embroidery machine enough, or should I really look at that 6-head embroidery machine? If it's a 6-head embroidery machine and I get a 1,000-piece job, should I utilize the contractor that has 60 heads of embroidery? I'm of the opinion that you need a little bit of all of that you need to keep that contractor on your side. You need to know how to utilize transfers, and some of your own production, maybe via a cutter or something like that, when it's personalization or very low run, or the bling category, like metallics or glitter flake and things like that, that you can cut out of a roll like this product. So I think you need all of it. Okay, Alexander's got a, no, okay, Shauna, uh-oh. Shauna, have I lost you?
Yep, you did. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
So Alexander had asked, I totally missed his question in scrolling through, had asked what company you had mentioned a little while ago. This was way early in the presentation. And it looked like somebody a few chats later had answered him that you had referred to Sanmar.
Yeah, I do a lot. I mean, I really enjoy my time looking through their product line. I know that Sanmar works similarly to us in that they have a lot of concern and care for their customers' successes. I know that they are around the country with gigantic warehouses, and I referred to this earlier also. If I was to go back to the other side of the aisle, so to speak, they would certainly be on my, my list as one of the very first vendors that I would fill out an application for.
All right. Everybody's saying thank you for all the great answers. So that concludes our time today.
Thank you very much, folks. I enjoyed doing this. Again, when I came on, I said, I hope my 35 years of some hard-earned experiences and any knowledge that I gained, I hope I imparted some of it, and that you'll go out and do what your heart and your mind and your business acumen is telling you to do, and watch for those pitfalls, but enjoy the successes.